All right, let's keep this post-apocalyptic theme going. I'm going to go into an expansion that just came in for me. I think, Dan, you own a copy of Radlands, or is it Mike?
No, I do. I own the the updated one we used to have in the store, the upgraded box and all that.
The Super Deluxe, yes, gorgeous, gorgeous setup. They just released, and I know they'd announced it at Gen Con, but they just released the expansion called Cult of Chrome. And the Cult of Chrome expansion is a small box like this, and it's just camps, right? That's how it was described to me. These are new camps to add to the game. I think like 30 some odd camps added to the game. What they did is they put 32 new camps into the game. However, they also, this is the reason I'm bringing this in here, they also did some reworking of the game. They featured 10 rebalanced replacement cards for some camps and cards that are in your game. So you're replacing some of the old stuff that just didn't work out. You have the option to buy the synth version of this, right? The deluxe version comes with plastic cards, or you can buy the linen, which is the actual just paper stock cards. So that, I mean, that's all cool and all. This expansion is going to be great. If you're a Radlands player, you're going to love it. It's just more Radlands, new camps, and then some fixing of cards, right? That's what we all love, is getting more stuff for our games, right? But here's why I want to talk about this for a moment, and that has everything to do with this this sticker sheet that came in. Check this out, Dan. Games should do this more. Look at this. These are sticker sheets, almost like Betrayal Legacy. Okay. Do you remember as we played Betrayal Legacy, new things were added to how to play the game, and they gave you sticker sheets, and you added them to the rule book, or you overlaid sections of the rule book? Because they had some errata, they're on like version 2.4 or something, 1.2 of the rulebook. They gave you printed versions to just add to your rulebook to replace what they fixed. As an example, they fixed the restore rule, right? The game had a negative where people would continue to use a card to restore itself. So like a camp would restore itself over and over again, and the games would drag out. Now you're no longer allowed to use a card's restore ability to restore that card. It has to be another card. So what they do, they gave you a restore sticker. It's a sticker. You take it, place it right over the rule in the rule book, cover it up. Now your rule book is up to date. I love that. I love that because I hate having to download a digital rule book with the most updated version of the rules, but my rule book in the box is not up to date. Like, that always bothered me. So I'd have to print out like a PDF, use a PDF to print it out.
Costs money. It costs some money.
It does, but man, if more companies can do this as they come out with expansions, as they do errata, like this is huge.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If not only, and yeah, Rob, you're right, it costs money, but not only does it fix the rule book, but it might make me want to buy an expansion even more. If I'm like, oh, I can update my rule book and get an expansion at the same time, and I don't have to either download a digital version or print out another paper version to stick in the box. Yeah, that's a big deal. I've had that. I've only seen, I think, 2 games that I've owned where they've done that.
And when you think about it, a sticker sheet, like one sticker sheet or a couple, like with the updated rules versus reprinting an entire rule book. Because a lot of times in future expansions, you get new rule book or consolidated rule book or whatever. So when you think about cost, like how much is the cost of doing a whole new rule book versus just providing a sticker sheet or putting in a errata sheet? You know, so it might not be that much more expensive in the grand scheme of things. But you kind of have to, you kind of have to plan that out though, right? Because it has to be like the rules have to be coverable by stickers. So when you write your rule book, originally, you kind of have to have like blurbs for rules so that when you have a sticker, it covers up just that rule. You can't have paragraphs. So it does take kind of a pre-planning, pre-thought process of like, I have to put everything in these little, you know, Batman like chat bubbles.
Yeah.
That I can cover up.
That I could sticker with cards.
And then you're planning to have to fail to some extent?
See what Wayne said is they had to plan to fail.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think you did it right and you had 50 million people read your rule book and it seemed right and, you didn't think you were going to have to fix the game because you play tested it 1,000 times, I don't know. Should you plan for that? I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, you should always plan for
plan to fail?
what you didn't see coming. Yeah, I mean that's
okay.
Somebody broke the rule, broke the game by using the rules in a different way.
Okay.
It's something that companies, I mean, you've read terrible rule books, not just the layout, but just how bad they are. It's something that companies, I think, should put more money into is somebody that can lay out, like a graphic designer, and somebody that knows how to write instructional manuals. They should put a little bit more money into that.
Paul Grogan would agree with you. Yeah. Get him a lot more work.
I mean, even today, granted, 10,000 games come out every year, but let's take, forget the 10,000. Let's look at the top 200 games that come out every year. There are always these very popular games that come out that have just horrible rule books, horribly written, horribly laid out, horrible shape and size. You would think that in 2024, companies would realize we can't, we really need to get it to a Paul Grogan, get it to some other people that are, they can lay this out better, that can find the bad wording, those kind of things. Because then the moment the game comes out, you have 5,000 gamers looking at it, and immediately you're seeing people post what does this rule mean, or this is my interpretation, this is this interpretation. You have to really do a better job of that stuff.
I mean, I think it's such a problem that I don't even notice if a rule book is bad anymore. I only notice that, oh wow, this is a good one.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, to the norm to not be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And some of it, I think, is a lot of laziness. I don't need to do a really good job of rule book because I'll get someone like Rodney or 50 million other YouTubers to do a teach to play for free. Most of us probably, or most people. So you fall into that trap of, I don't need to really spend that much time on my rule book because people could just YouTube it or go to BGG and ask the question.
Yeah, in defense of the game makers, I mean, it is another expense. I mean, if you aren't naturally great at writing rule books, you have to hire a Paul Grogan or hire some people to read it over and over and edit it and make sure it makes sense and it flows right and all that. So it's just one more little thing. If I'm going to spend money on my plastic cars, instead of screen printing my dice or whatever, if I'm going to instead of heat printing them, I'm going to engrave them, have nice dice. Maybe that's a corner that I cut. I'll make the rule book good enough, and then I can always do a PDF or a FAQ or an errata, and we can fix that as we go. So yeah,
I can understand that if you're making your first game or you're a small studio or something like that, but a lot of the really bad rule books I read are from the biggest companies in the industry.
Yeah, no excuse. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Second thing they did really well in this expansion is it fits back in the box. So when I mean back in the box, I mean in the deluxe version, the way the box is set up, there's a box inside the box that holds the cards, and I don't ever remember there being that much room in that box. But what they decided to do is to keep it at 32 cards exact, because that's exactly how much room they had left in this box.
Really?
You're replacing 10 cards with the updated cards, and you're adding 32. So I know it really reduced what they can do expansion-wise, at least for this expansion. But it's a good feeling to know that this thing is going right in the box. There's not going to be an extra space needed. It fits right in. So planning to allow for expansions to go into your box is a good thing. More of that, please.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Radlands Cult of Chrome expansion. What we'd like, the updates on stickers, and the fact that it fits back in the box. More of that, please.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Oh, and they were late. They were late on their delivery, so what they did is they provided alternate artwork water silo and Raiders cards. So for those folks who had pre-ordered and didn't get your order on time, You get alternate artwork, water silo, and raider cards, which is
that's
pretty
Roxy
nifty.
Game. They're like they have that stuff down to a
Nice little
science.
bonus.
Between
Yeah.
all the tiny epics and the brass and this, they got it down.
See what I gather from this too is it comes with the little promo cards came with the synth version, the plastic, and the linen version, and I never had them side by side before. But man, the color saturation on the linen cards,
big
on the
difference.
paper cards, complete different than the synth cards. The plastic cards are more muted. The blacks are not as rich. They're not as dark. So I guess printing on plastic, they haven't really figured that out to get the same saturation of color and brightness of and contrast of cards. So that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh, I was a little disappointed. Now that I know I have the synth version, so I don't have to sleeve it. It's all made out of plastic. But then to think, wow, it is very much more muted in color, isn't it, Rob? I know it's hard to tell on camera, but I'm showing it to Rob.
And actually, but I'm looking at it though. I was looking at it with a little bit of shadow on it, and they actually look identical with a little shadow. It's not until I get them into the light and I see the light bouncing off that I can see a difference. But if you put
So when you look at them in the dark, they look okay.
well, they look
Okay.
identical. I mean, I can't
They
tell
look-
the difference with
No,
them. When,
They
The
look the
light-
same
the-
inside the box too. When the lid's closed, they look
Yeah.
exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
The light will set you free.
yeah, with just a little bit of shadow on them, I can't tell the difference.
And this
But,
is what
you know,
people come here to Beans and Dice for is that
In-depth,
level
yep,
of
in-depth
in-depth
stuff, yeah.
analysis is when the lights are off, they look the same.
Yeah, no, not what
You're
I'm saying.
welcome.
Nope.